Robin Brown, the most controversial Sister Wives star, is finally opening up, and she's calling out names. For years, viewers have accused her of destroying a once together family. But Robin is now naming the person she thinks is really at fault for destroying the Browns. Want to know who she names? Hang in there, because this scandal runs deep. When Robin Brown arrived to join the Brown family in 2010, she brought new energy. Young, focused, and optimistic, Robin was captivated by Kody Brown's relationships with his wives and kids. She believed the plural lifestyle was the best, not only for her, but for her three kids, Aurora, Brianna, and Dayton. But soon, it wasn't long before a pattern was noticed. Robin was soon Kody's undisputed favorite. The more the seasons went by, the more painfully clear it became. Kody was spending most of his time and effort with Robin and her kids, and keeping his other wives and children in the background. Robin claimed she cherished the idea of sister wives, but her actions told a different story. As Mary, Janelle, and Christine, also known as the OG3, began leaving one by one, Robin seemed distraught. She even tried, unsuccessfully, to convince Mary to stay. But with Kody devoting himself almost entirely to Robin and her household, many wondered if the departures weren't exactly a loss for her. Now Robin has focused on Christine Brown Woolley, Kody's third wife, blaming her squarely. In Robin's view, it all fell apart after Christine chose to leave. She says that Kody and his children had a good relationship until Christine left. Would Kody remain close to his children if Christine had remained? Robin believes so, but that's debatable. During the pandemic, Kody's dictatorial rules and belligerent behavior tested his relationships, especially with sons Gabe and Garrison. He even advocated for them to be evicted from Janelle's house. Meanwhile, he defended isolating with Robin's family during COVID, distancing himself further from the OG3. To longtime viewers, Robin's accusations against Christine didn't ring true. Was Christine truly at fault? Or was this a ploy by Robin to divert attention? Fans weren't having it. Many interpreted Robin's comments as jealous jibes, particularly in response to Christine's increasing popularity and bliss since her divorce. Others even called Robin's actions manipulative. Although once evincing guilt over the hurt she had possibly inflicted on her former in-laws, her public reputation keeps plummeting. From the audience, Robin has never liked Christine. She's now blaming Christine for being unpopular with the original children, but no one is listening anymore. The tide has changed. People are blaming both Robin and Kody for the family's downfall, not Christine. But the drama doesn't stop here. A big new development in the Sister Wives saga came when Christine reportedly revealed Kody's staggering amount of unpaid child support. Did Christine just expose one of Kody's most shocking secrets? As part of a court fight for financial assistance, a paternity test was allegedly demanded because Kody wasn't on their daughter Truly's birth certificate. Why? In his plural marriage lifestyle, Kody wasn't always bound by law to his other wives. His sole lawful marriage was to Mary, until their 2014 divorce made it possible for him to lawfully wed Robin and become financially responsible for her 5 children. Meanwhile, Christine and Janelle were left to cover essentials like health insurance and day-to-day costs for their kids, alone. When Christine departed in 2021 and went to Utah with Truly, she made a legal claim against Kody. Back in September of 2024, a paternity test was apparently taken as part of the case. But the actual bombshell? A leaked page from Christine's future book seems to affirm Kody owes more than $100,000 in past due child support. The hazy picture, supposedly taken at an airport, depicts the figure in bold, causing ripples on the net. Kody, enraged that the news was leaked, was reportedly lashing out at anyone who crossed his path. He's also been going nuts over social media, obviously knowing that the fans are realizing what is going on behind the scenes. So, what's next? Will Christine's book reveal more secrets? Is Robin really the victim or the mastermind of all the chaos? And how will Kody react as more and more truths come to light? Stay tuned, because this family drama is not yet over. At the very moment Robin was shifting blame, Kody Brown was caught muttering about controlling the narrative. Fans may recall the time he tried to twist the story when Christine announced a trip with Truly. Kody attempted to spin the situation by layering on false claims, suggesting Truly would still visit him in another state. But after that failed attempt, Christine didn't look back, and nobody was surprised. Kody himself has confessed that he doesn't trust his former wives and has miscalculated their strength and potential. Nevertheless, he still had a sense of entitlement to dispense legal advice as if he was the expert. People found it absurd, particularly in his recent history. Was anyone really surprised to find Kody owed Christine Brown woolly money? Seasoned fans will recall a harrowing moment early in Sister Wives when Truly was hospitalized. Christine, who didn't have health insurance, wound up taking on an enormous medical expense, about $450,000. Now, most feel that Christine should pursue that money with her lawyers, as Kody does not appear ever to pay it himself. Can Kody honestly say he doesn't trust Christine after draining the family's bankroll for more than a decade? Nearly all for himself and Robin. For 14 years, Christine made sacrifices while Kody spent lavishly on one household. And still, he attempted to stand in her way. He even went so far as to suggest that any man she'd eventually be with would hoard her income. As it happens, he was wrong once more. Christine is now married to David Woolley and happier than ever. And with the recent book leak from her new book, it appears that the scandal is proving beneficial, spiking pre-orders and generating buzz. Ironically, Kody might have made her book a bestseller. Now, as the erstwhile sprawling plural family comes apart, Robin, the sole surviving wife, is providing her account of what went awry. The same woman once depicted as a promising newcomer is now deflecting blame away from Kody and squarely onto one of the departed wives. Instead of taking responsibility for the imbalance or her own part in the breakdown, Robin blames the breakup on one woman's deliberate walkaway. By her account, this destroyed the core of the family, not favoritism, not emotional abandonment. One simple decision. Robin entered the family as an outsider, warmly welcomed. Her 3 children from a prior relationship were greeted warmly, and she used words of unity, co-parenting, and sisterhood. She seemed to embrace the collective framework and heritage that characterized the Browns' household. But cracks began to appear over time. Though she was a self-proclaimed team player, fans sensed a quiet shift. More time, affection, and resources from Kody were being devoted to Robin and her family. The paradigm was shifting. Celebrations and important decisions began revolving around one wife's residence. The others were incrementally edged out, forced to fight for attention and equality. Finally, the imbalance became such that it could no longer be overlooked. The emotional chasm widened. Both in succession, the initial wives departed. First Mary, then Janelle. Christine's departure was the coup de grace. The once compact family dissolved before sunrise in front of the world, and Robin was the sole one left standing by Kody. Now, in her account, Robin denies that anything was wrong until Christine departed. She says Kody maintained close, loving relationships with all his children until that time. In her view, the foundation was still strong until Christine made her decision. But a lot aren't believing her. Audiences are resisting. They're calling out Robin's version, demanding to know about the years of favoritism, control, and manipulation. As the story goes on, it's clear on one thing. The game of blame is far from over, and fans are no longer remaining silent. During the pandemic, long before the family officially began to unravel, Kody Brown had already started pulling away. The man Robin now defends so strongly was, at that time, isolating himself in one home for long stretches, enforcing rigid rules that many, including his own children, found extreme and unreasonable. Children in the other households began to feel the sting of abandonment. They wondered why their father had stopped showing up, why he no longer called, and why their relationship with him seemed to vanish overnight. One particularly heartbreaking example was his demand that two of his older sons be removed from their home due to what he labeled as disrespectful behavior. These painful events are not rumors, they're well documented parts of the family's public journey. And yet, Robin's current narrative omits them, offering instead a simplified explanation that puts blame elsewhere. Fans who followed the story recognize the emotional undertones in her recent interviews. Her words carry a mix of sorrow and defensiveness. She claims she tried to hold the family together, encouraging the others to stay. But from the outside, it looks like she's found comfort in exclusivity. Though she lives next to the man the others emotionally detached from, Robin mourns the past from a privileged position. Her repeated claim that everything was fine until one wife left has sparked backlash, not just from fans, but from people within the family itself. Many see her comments not as sincere reflection, but as jealousy. Meanwhile, the woman Robin subtly blames, Christine Brown Woolley, has moved on with her life. She's remarried, clearly happy, and no longer bound by a structure that once restricted her. Photos of Christine today show her smiling, surrounded by her grown children and a new husband who supports her. This stark contrast hasn't gone unnoticed. Robin, isolated and holding on to the past, versus Christine, thriving in a new chapter. Robin continues to defend the plural marriage model, saying she'd support Kody taking a second wife again. But her statements often come with disclaimers, small hints of hesitation and fear. She's admitted to missing the presence of other women in the home, yet her behavior during the final years of the family suggested otherwise. She made decisions that isolated the others, intentionally or not. She skipped social gatherings, avoided tough questions, and often answered criticism with vague references to personal beliefs or divine guidance. While she claims she never asked for special treatment, her actions tell a different story. In one pointed interview, she insisted she didn't seek out favoritism, yet many remember how she seemed to welcome it, even enjoy it. And then there's her accusation against Christine. The wife she claims brought the entire family structure down. A closer look, however, paints Christine not as the destroyer, but as a survivor of neglect and broken promises. Christine had spoken up many times about her needs and hopes, only to be ignored again and again. Eventually, her decision to leave wasn't about rebellion, it was about survival. Let's not forget, the children's fractured relationships with Kody didn't begin with Christine's exit. Those bonds had been slowly eroding for years, and the pandemic only accelerated what was already happening. Kody's harsh rules, rare appearances, and increased tension with his adult sons told their own story, one of distance and control. And still, Robin continues to share her side. I never wanted to be the only one, she insists. She says she still believes in the family model they once embraced, but that belief now comes with caveats. She would only accept another wife, she says, if God gave her a sign and assurances that the past wouldn't repeat itself. Robin's version of events is filled with contradictions. Her words carry confusion and grief, but also a refusal to fully acknowledge her role in the collapse. Rather than looking inward, she continues to assign blame outward. Yet, the truth is far more complex. This family didn't fall apart because of one woman. It crumbled because of favoritism, unresolved pain, inequality, and a lack of shared commitment. Robin's current reflections expose a tangled emotional landscape, one filled with longing, denial, and attempts to rewrite what viewers clearly remember. Because those viewers haven't forgotten. They remember the looks, the silence, the uneven treatment. And despite all that's been said, they're still not convinced. Viewers remember who stayed silent when fairness was demanded, and they remember the one who finally walked away, choosing a life where her needs wouldn't be dismissed or ignored. For years, the public has followed the intricate, often painful evolution of the Brown family's polygamous lifestyle. Once praised for being a large and unconventional family, the fractures are now impossible to hide. A recent financial and emotional bombshell has reignited debates, not just within the shattered remnants of the family, but across the internet as well. Christine, once a central figure in this plural marriage, has now become a symbol of self-reliance, a woman unafraid to fight for justice, even if it means revealing buried truths. When she left the shared home, Christine wasn't just ending a relationship. She was stepping away from a system that had left her shouldering responsibilities alone, especially for her youngest daughter, Truly. Though Christine had emotionally separated from the marriage long before, her official exit marked the beginning of a new and difficult chapter. This wasn't a simple breakup. It unraveled decades of shared finances, parenting duties, and emotional ties. At the core of it all was Truly, a child who bore Kody's features, personality, and love, but lacked any legal recognition of paternity. Her birth certificate was missing Kody's name, a consequence of how their polygamous family operated, more spiritual than legal. This lack of documentation led to a mandatory paternity test when Christine filed for financial support. For years, the limitations of their spiritual unions placed a burden on the women raising Kody's children. Civil law only acknowledged one legal marriage, originally with Mary and later with Robin, leaving the others with no legal rights to his income or benefits. Christine was forced to navigate health care and financial responsibilities alone. One particularly devastating memory still lingers for fans, the moment when Truly was hospitalized with a serious illness. It played out during one of the most painful chapters of Sister Wives. Christine, uninsured and unsupported, was left to foot a $450,000 medical bill. That moment came to symbolize all she endured silently, the emotional labor, the neglect, and the injustice. Now, a new chapter is unfolding. As Christine prepares to publish her memoir, an honest retelling of her struggles and triumphs, an alleged leak from the book surfaced online. The image was grainy, poorly lit, and partially obscured. But one thing stood out clearly: a six-figure number boldly labeled as back support. Social media exploded. Was it an intentional leak, a warning, or simply an accident? The speculation only grew when Kody was reportedly spotted at an airport, visibly agitated. Witnesses described him furiously scrolling through his phone, muttering under his breath about controlling the narrative. To longtime followers of the show, Kody's reaction wasn't surprising. Neither was the revelation of his overdue debt. For years, fans have watched him pour nearly all of his emotional and financial energy into one home, Robin's, while other households were left to fend for themselves. Favoritism had long been an issue, but now the public was forced to confront another uncomfortable truth: financial inequality. Christine's legal move wasn't just about getting justice for herself and Truly, it was a statement about accountability. She had been expected to carry the load for their shared child with no support, no health insurance, and no legal protection. And she did it. She paid the hospital bills. She uprooted her life. She raised her daughter, alone. Now, the man who often claimed he couldn't trust his former wives finds himself in the middle of a legal battle, one that may finally hold him accountable for the years of neglect and imbalance. Kody Brown has often claimed that his ex-wives acted impulsively, guided more by emotion than reason. Yet today, it's Christine who stands firmly rooted in evidence, fairness, and the legal process. According to those familiar with the case, her legal team is moving forward with confidence and precision. Online sentiment is overwhelmingly in Christine's favor. Fans and commentators have pointed out the glaring hypocrisy. This is the same man who reportedly funneled funds into lavish lifestyles and home upgrades, yet now resists the idea of supporting his own child. Christine's calm determination stands in stark contrast to Kody's visible public frustration. The implications of the lawsuit stretch far beyond money. With Christine's memoir on the horizon and her recent marriage to someone who genuinely seems to care about her happiness, public interest has reached a new peak. The book is already generating buzz, promising to shed light not only on Christine's emotional journey, but also on the financial inequities inside a polygamous family, where not everyone was treated equally. Some believe the leaked book page was no accident, perhaps a strategic move to pressure Kody into cooperating or to fuel pre-release interest. Others think it was an unplanned slip. Either way, the message is loud and clear. Christine is done staying silent. Her voice, her struggles, and her fight for justice are finally being heard. Meanwhile, Kody appears caught in the middle, trying to manage his reputation while grappling with the legal and emotional consequences of past decisions. His influence over his former spiritual wives is no longer what it once was. That chapter is closing. Whether he chooses to respond publicly or remain silent, Christine's upcoming memoir is set to raise even more questions. Will new financial revelations surface? Will the book confirm what fans have suspected about the family's internal power dynamics for years? One thing is certain. Christine's bold step to stand up for herself and her daughter has sparked a vital conversation about fairness, justice, and the emotional toll of unequal relationships. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more daily updates. See you soon.